the Light of Lumina. Princess Lyanna lived a peaceful and luxurious life in the radiant kingdom of Lumina, where the skies were always bright, and the people were full of joy. Every year, the kingdom celebrated the Spring Festival. And this year, Lyanna joined her parents, King Edrin and Queen Althea, in leading the grand ceremony. As the sun set, the royal family lit the eternal flame, a symbol of prosperity and hope. But just as the flame blazed, an icy wind swept through, extinguishing it instantly. Gasps filled the square as a figure cloaked in black emerged from the shadows. Her red eyes burned with malice as she spoke. "I am Morgra, the Witch of Shadows. Your kingdom's light blinds you. But no longer. I curse Lumina to eternal darkness unless Princess Lyanna proves herself worthy." With a wave of her staff, Morgra blanketed the land in a thick, eerie mist, plunging it into darkness. Then, she disappeared, leaving the people terrified and the royal family stunned. Back at the castle, Lyanna declared, "If Morgra has challenged me, I will face her. I will find the torch of light and save our kingdom." Despite their fears, her parents agreed, knowing this was her destiny. Armed with her family's sword and a map to guide her, Lyanna left the castle, her people watching with hope and sorrow. Her journey to save Lumina had begun. Disguised in simple traveler's clothes, Lyanna ventured beyond the castle walls for the first time. The kingdom of Lumina, once bright and flourishing, now lay shrouded in darkness. Villages were eerily silent, and fields once lush with crops now wilted under the oppressive gloom. With only a sword, an ancient map, and a pouch of supplies, Lyanna followed the path marked on the map toward the distant mountains where the torch of light was said to be hidden. Along the way, she encountered her first challenge, a narrow bridge swaying above a roaring river. As she hesitated, a voice called out, "Need help crossing?" It was a young hunter named Kale, who had been tracking game nearby. With his steady hands and calm demeanor, he helped her across. Seeing her determination, Kale decided to join her. "The road ahead isn't safe," he said. "Two pairs of eyes are better than one." Though cautious at first, Lyanna accepted his help. Together, they pressed on, their unlikely partnership marking the start of an adventure neither could have imagined. As Lyanna and Kale journeyed deeper into the darkened lands, they entered the haunting Forest of Mists, a place shrouded in an eerie, perpetual fog. Legends spoke of travelers who entered but never returned, their spirits forever lost within its depths. The forest tested their resolve almost immediately. Shadows flickered in the mist, and strange whispers filled the air. Lyanna clutched her sword tightly, her heart pounding. "Stay close," Kale warned, his bow drawn and ready. Amid the mist, they stumbled upon a glowing tree. Beneath it sat an enigmatic figure, cloaked in gray with a staff in hand. Introducing herself as Alara, a wandering sorceress, she revealed she had been trapped in the forest while searching for ancient magical relics. Alara offered to guide them through the forest in exchange for their help. The forest's curse can only be lifted by freeing its guardian spirit. Bound by dark magic, she explained. United by a common goal, the trio faced their first trial together. Using Elara's magic, Kale's sharp aim, and Lyanna's courage, they broke the curse, releasing the guardian spirit. As thanks, the spirit cleared the mists, revealing a safer path forward and gifting Lyanna a shard of glowing crystal, a piece of the key to finding the Torch of Light. Now 3 in number, their quest continued, with the bond of trust and teamwork beginning to grow. Emerging from the forest of mists, Lyanna, Kale, and Elara arrived at a desolate village. The once lively streets were eerily quiet, with broken carts and faded banners swaying in the cold wind. The villagers had been turned into stone, their faces frozen in expressions of fear and despair. "This is the work of Morgra," Elara said grimly, examining the statues. "Her curses linger wherever her influence spreads." As they ventured further into the village, they found the central square dominated by a large, menacing statue of a hooded figure holding a staff. Inscribed on its base were cryptic runes. Elara deciphered the message: the curse would only be broken by solving the riddle hidden within the statue's maze-like pedestal. Determined, the trio worked together. Kale's sharp eyes spotted hidden switches. Elara's magic revealed concealed pathways, and Lyanna's courage carried them through each challenge. Deep within the maze, they found a glowing orb, pulsating with energy. When Lyanna placed the orb into the statue's hands, a burst of light shattered the stone. Slowly, the villagers returned to life, their gratitude overwhelming. "We thought hope was lost," their elder said. "Thank you for restoring it." Before leaving, the elder handed Lyanna an old map fragment, a crucial piece to finding the Torch of Light. With renewed determination, the group continued their journey, knowing the path ahead would only grow more perilous. As the trio followed the ancient map, they arrived at a sprawling city shrouded in an unnatural silence. The streets were empty, the buildings crumbled, and the air felt heavy with despair. Statues of its former inhabitants stood frozen in lifelike poses, their faces twisted in terror. "This city has been under Morgra's curse for decades," Elara whispered. "Its people were turned to stone when they refused to surrender to her." In the city square stood a towering statue of Morgra herself, her hand outstretched as if commanding the cursed scene. At its base was an inscription in faded runes. Elara deciphered the message: the curse will break only when the heart of the city is restored. The group began their search, uncovering clues throughout the city. Kale discovered an ancient key hidden in the ruins of a clock tower. Lyanna braved the abandoned library, where she found a locked chest containing a glowing crystal heart. But as they returned to the square, shadowy creatures emerged, summoned to protect Morgra's curse. Lyanna, Kale, and Elara fought valiantly. Elara used her magic to hold back the shadows, while Kale's arrows found their marks, protecting Lyanna as she approached the statue. With a determined strike, she placed the crystal heart into the statue's chest. A brilliant light erupted, shattering the darkness. The statues of the city's inhabitants began to crack and crumble, revealing the people within. The city came alive with cries of joy and gratitude. Their leader, an elderly scholar, approached Lyanna, offering a fragment of the map as thanks. "This will lead you to the next step of your journey," he said. With the curse lifted and hope restored, The trio pressed on, knowing they were one step closer to saving Lumina. The journey led Lyanna, Kale, and Alara to the treacherous mountain pass that climbed toward the distant peak where the torch of light was hidden. The path was narrow, bordered by steep cliffs, and the air grew colder with each step. Shadows danced across the rocks, hinting at unseen dangers. As they moved cautiously, a low growl echoed through the mountains. Before they could react, a massive three-headed wolf leapt from the shadows, its eyes glowing with malice. The beast lunged, its fangs bared. Kale fired arrows with precision, but the creature's thick hide deflected them. Alara cast a protective barrier to shield them, while Lyanna charged forward with her sword. The beast, however, was relentless, its three heads attacking in unison. "We need a plan," Lyanna shouted, dodging a swipe from one of its claws. Kale spotted a weak point near the beast's underbelly. "Distract it. I'll aim for its heart," with Alara's magic creating illusions to confuse the creature. Lyanna fearlessly confronted the wolf, drawing its attention. Kale seized the opportunity, firing an arrow directly into its vulnerable spot. The beast let out a deafening roar before collapsing. As it faded into the shadows, it left behind a shimmering relic, a medallion engraved with symbols that matched the ancient map. Alara studied it and confirmed its importance in guiding them to the Torch of Light. Exhausted but victorious, the group continued their ascent, knowing the trials ahead would only grow more perilous. The trio's journey brought them to a secluded temple nestled in a hidden valley, where they hoped to uncover more about the legendary Torch of Light. The temple, covered in vines and cracked stone, radiated an ancient energy that made the air feel heavy. Inside, they found murals depicting a grand tale. The Torch of Light was not merely an object but a symbol of hope and unity. It was created by the first rulers of Lumina, forged from the collective courage of their people during a time of great darkness. Only someone with a pure heart and unwavering determination could wield its power. As they explored further, a magical projection of a sage appeared. He spoke solemnly. "To claim the torch, one must pass 3 trials: the trial of strength, the trial of wisdom, and the trial of sacrifice. Failing any trial will result in dire consequences." Lyanna felt the weight of responsibility grow heavier. "If this is the only way to save my people, I'll face whatever comes," she said with resolve. Before leaving, the sage gave them a vital clue: beware. For Morgreth seeks the torch not for its light, but to extinguish it forever. She will stop at nothing to prevent you from succeeding. With new knowledge and a renewed sense of purpose, Lyanna, Kale, and Alara left the temple, ready to face the trials ahead. The path to the torch would demand more than just courage, it would test the very core of their character. Following the ancient map and the sage's guidance, Lyanna, Kale, and Alara ascended the towering peaks of the Cursed Mountains. Their destination was the fabled lair of Torvax, the last guardian of the Torch of Light. Legends spoke of the dragon's immense power and its merciless judgment of those who dared approach. The entrance to the lair was a massive cave adorned with ancient carvings of dragons. As they stepped inside, the ground trembled, and a deep, resonant voice echoed through the cavern. "Who dares disturb my sanctuary?" the voice boomed. From the shadows emerged Torvax, a magnificent dragon with scales that shimmered like molten gold and eyes that burned with an intense light. The air crackled with power as the dragon fixed its gaze on Lyanna. "I am Lyanna, Princess of Lumina," she said, her voice steady despite her fear. "I seek the torch of light to save my kingdom." Torvax growled, smoke billowing from his nostrils. "The torch is not for the weak or unworthy. To claim it, you must face your greatest fears." In an instant, the cavern dissolved into a surreal battlefield. Lyanna found herself surrounded by visions of her deepest insecurities, her failures, her fears of letting her people down, and the weight of her destiny. The illusions taunted her, but she refused to yield. Kale and Alara, though unable to see her visions, stood by her side, offering words of encouragement. With their support and her unwavering determination, Lyanna confronted the illusions, shattering them with a brilliant surge of inner strength. Impressed by her courage, Torvax lowered his massive head. "You have proven yourself worthy, Princess Lyanna. The torch of light lies within your grasp. But beware, others will seek to twist its power." The dragon revealed the torch, its golden flame glowing with an otherworldly brilliance. As Lyanna reached for it, the cavern suddenly shook violently. In the distance, an ominous shadow appeared. Morgra had found them. With the torch in hand, Lyanna and her companions prepared for their greatest challenge yet. No sooner had Lyanna taken hold of the torch of light than the cavern trembled violently. A chilling wind howled through the lair as shadows coalesced into a menacing figure, Morgra. Her crimson eyes gleamed with malice, and her staff crackled with dark energy. "Well done, little princess," Morgra sneered. "You've done all the hard work for me. Now, hand over the torch, or watch your friends suffer." Kale and Alara moved to defend Lyanna, but Morgra raised her staff, summoning a horde of shadowy beasts that surrounded them. The dragon Torvax roared in defiance, his golden flame lighting up the cavern as he engaged Morgra's minions. Lyanna clutched the torch tightly, its warmth filling her with courage. "You'll never take this, Morgra," she declared, stepping forward. The torch flared brightly, momentarily driving Morgra back. But Morgra was cunning. She cast a spell that bound Kale and Alara in dark chains, their cries of pain echoing through the cavern. "Choose, princess. Save them, or keep the torch." Lyanna's heart ached as she looked at her friends. Torvax growled, "Do not let her deceive you. The torch's power will protect them if you believe in its light." With tears in her eyes, Lyanna held the torch high. Its golden flame surged, banishing the shadows and breaking Morgra's spell. Kale and Alara fell to the ground, gasping for air but alive. Morgra shrieked in fury, "You may have won this battle, but you'll never win the war." With a wave of her staff, she disappeared into the darkness, leaving behind a cavern in ruins. Though shaken, the group emerged victorious. Torvax bowed to Lyanna, acknowledging her bravery. "The power of the torch grows stronger with each trial you overcome. But beware, Morgra will return, and her next attack will be even more ruthless." With the torch safely in hand and their resolve stronger than ever, Lyanna and her companions descended the mountain. ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. The final battle was drawing near. With the torch of light glowing faintly in her hands, Lyanna led her companions down the mountain, their path shrouded in an uneasy silence. Morgra's threat loomed heavy in their minds. The map indicated their next destination, the Shadow Valley, where the entrance to Morgra's lair awaited. As they traversed the barren landscape, they encountered villages consumed by despair. Fields were barren, rivers had run dry, and the people, weakened by Morgra's curse, looked to Lyanna with faint hope. Despite her own fears, Lyanna stopped to reassure them. "I will not fail you," she vowed. The journey took them through dangerous terrain. At one point, they crossed a crumbling bridge over a deep chasm. Halfway across, Morgra's minions, a flock of shadow crows, attacked, their razor-sharp talons tearing at the ropes. Kale fought them off with his arrows, while Alara used her magic to hold the bridge together. Lyanna pushed forward, shielding the torch with her body as they narrowly escaped. Finally, they reached the Shadow Valley, a desolate wasteland where darkness seemed to emanate from the ground itself. At the valley's heart stood a towering fortress, its black spires piercing the sky. "That's Morgra's lair," Alara said, her voice trembling. But the fortress was surrounded by a massive barrier of swirling shadows, impenetrable by any weapon or magic they had. Lyanna stared at it, clutching the torch tightly. "The light of the torch will be enough to break through," she said, though uncertainty flickered in her voice. Before they could act, a familiar voice echoed through the valley. Morgra appeared atop the fortress walls, her laughter cold and cruel. "You've come far, Princess. But this is where your journey ends. The torch's light will never reach the darkness I've created." With a wave of her staff, Morgra unleashed a wave of shadow beasts, charging toward the group. Lyanna, Kale, and Alara prepared to fight, knowing the final battle was drawing ever closer. This time, failure was not an option. Standing before Morgra's dark fortress, Lyanna, Kale, and Alara braced themselves as shadow beasts surged toward them. The torch of light glowed faintly in Lyanna's grasp, but its power alone seemed insufficient to hold back the tide. "Hold the line," Kale shouted, loosing arrows with precision, each one striking down a beast. Alara chanted spells, her magic creating barriers and fireballs to slow the onslaught. Lyanna, gripping her sword, charged into the fray, the torch's light illuminating the battlefield. The battle raged fiercely, and for every beast they defeated, more seemed to emerge. Exhausted but determined, Lyanna held the torch high, its glow intensifying with her resolve. "This isn't just my fight," she said, her voice cutting through the chaos. "It's for everyone who believes in hope and light." The torch responded to her conviction, its light erupting into a blinding beam that swept across the battlefield. The shadow beasts dissolved under its radiance, leaving the trio standing alone before the swirling barrier around the fortress. But Morgra's magic was strong, and the barrier resisted the torch's power. Alara examined the barrier and realized it was fueled by Morgra's own dark essence. "We'll need to weaken her connection to it," she said. "That means going inside the fortress, using the torch's light as a key." Lyanna opened a narrow breach in the barrier. "This is our chance," she said, leading her companions into the fortress. Inside, the air was thick with shadow magic, and Morgra's voice echoed ominously. "You're brave, little princess. But you've only stepped deeper into your doom." The fortress was a labyrinth of dark corridors and traps, each one testing their courage and unity. With every step, the torch's light grew brighter, pushing back the encroaching darkness. Finally, they reached the central chamber, where Morgra awaited, her staff glowing with dark energy. "You may have come this far," Morgra sneered, "but the light you carry cannot survive the shadows I command." Lyanna stepped forward, torch in hand, her determination unwavering. "Your darkness ends here, Morgra." The final confrontation was about to begin. In the heart of the fortress, Lyanna, Kale, and Alara faced Morgra. The chamber pulsed with dark energy, and shadows writhed like living creatures along the walls. Morgra stood tall, her crimson eyes blazing with fury, her staff crackling with black lightning. "You think you can defeat me with that feeble light?" Morgra hissed. "The darkness is eternal. It will consume you." Lyanna raised the torch of light, its golden glow cutting through the oppressive darkness. "Your reign ends now, Morgra. I will restore hope to my people." With a wave of her staff, Morgra unleashed a torrent of shadow magic, aiming to snuff out the torch's light. Kale leapt into action, firing arrows to distract her, while Alara used her magic to shield Lyanna. Despite their efforts, Morgra's power was overwhelming, forcing them to retreat. "You cannot win," Morgra cackled. "The shadows will always return." Lyanna fell to her knees, clutching the torch, its light flickering under Morgra's relentless assault. But as she looked at her friends, fighting desperately beside her, she remembered the people of Lumina, their hope, their belief in her. She closed her eyes, focusing on the light within herself. "The torch isn't just a weapon," she whispered. "It's a symbol of hope, unity, and courage." Drawing on this realization, Lyanna stood, the torch blazing brighter than ever. Its light expanded, forming a protective aura around her and her friends. Morgra screamed as the light pushed back her shadows, her dark form beginning to waver. "You think this will stop me?" Morgra snarled, summoning all her power for a final attack. But Lyanna, Kale, and Alara worked as one. Kale's arrows struck Morgra's staff, disrupting her magic, while Alara cast a spell to bind her in place. Lyanna stepped forward, holding the torch high. "This is for Lumina," she cried, driving the torch's light into the heart of Morgra's magic. The room erupted in a brilliant explosion of light, engulfing everything. When the light faded, Morgra was gone. Her darkness dissolved. The chamber transformed, its shadows replaced by golden warmth. The curse that had gripped Lumina was broken. Exhausted but victorious, Lyanna turned to her companions. "We did it," she said, her voice trembling with relief. The torch of light, now fully ablaze, guided them out of the fortress as sunlight began to return to the land. The battle was over, but the story of hope and courage would live on forever. As Lyanna, Kale, and Alara emerged from the dark fortress, the first rays of sunlight pierced the horizon. The curse that had plagued Lumina lifted, and the land began to heal. Villages once shrouded in darkness burst to life as flowers bloomed. Rivers flowed, and people stepped out of their homes with renewed hope. At the castle, King Edrin and Queen Althea embraced Lyanna, their eyes filled with pride and relief. "You've saved us all," her father said, his voice trembling. "You are more than a princess, you are a true leader." The people of Lumina gathered in the town square to celebrate their hero. Lyanna, though weary, stood before them, holding the torch of light high. Its glow symbolized the unity and strength of the kingdom. "This victory is not mine alone," she said. "It belongs to all of us who dared to believe in hope." Even in the darkest times, Kale and Alara stood by her side, their bond unbreakable after the trials they had faced together. The people cheered, chanting Lyanna's name, their faith in the royal family stronger than ever. In the days that followed, Lyanna worked tirelessly to rebuild Lumina. She reformed the kingdom, ensuring justice and prosperity for all. Kale became the captain of the royal guard, while Alara, now a trusted advisor, used her magic to protect the realm. The torch of light was placed in the heart of the castle, a beacon to remind future generations of the courage it took to restore peace. Lyanna, though forever changed by her journey, remained humble, dedicating her life to serving her people. The story of Princess Lyanna and her triumph over Morgro became a legend, told for centuries as a testament to the power of hope, courage, and unity. And though her journey was over, her light continued to shine brightly across Lumina, ensuring that the kingdom would never fall into darkness again.